there, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. So, I know there are a lot of women on here my age, 50s, 60s, that are tiny living in tiny homes, and I'm so envious of you. I just want to say that. I'm so envious of you. When I first got the idea to sell my house and close my business, it was to move into a tiny home on some property. And I actually had money down on some property. It was 5 acres up in the or not the mountains, but up near the mountains in the hills, about an hour and 20 minutes from here. And I was going to do off-grid because I've been watching all the off-grid stuff, and I'm idealistic. So I'm thinking I can do that. Well, my house was on the market for over 30 days. And I told myself if I don't get, because right then the market was hot. And I thought if I don't get an offer in 30 days, it's not meant to be. So after the 30 days, and I hadn't had a solid offer on my house, I pulled my offer from the property. But there were other reasons. The property, during that time, I was doing my due diligence. To put a well in was going to be thousands and thousands of dollars because it wasn't perking. And they said, yeah, you could probably do it, but you have to dig really deep. And there was no electrical there yet. I mean, I was going to have to do a lot with utilities and, even living off grid, I was starting from scratch. And me being a single woman with no help, I thought, do I really want to get into this? Because if I have to hire help, I'm going to burn through my money fast. And so that's when I shifted gears and decided I'm going to buy an RV, tiny home on wheels. I have a pretty decent size RV, and I'm filming this at Christmas, so you'll get to see my tree. But I've made it as homey as I can. I've got all my favorite photos of trips to Disney with family and my children. And I've got lots of plants in here, make it homey. And see my little Disney fund bank there? That's where I save up to go to Disney every year. And then got my little tree this year. I didn't decorate the first couple years because I was on the go, but this year I'm kind of sitting still in my mom's driveway, so I was able to put up a tree. I kept some of my favorite Disney paintings from my home, and I've got a few of those in here. I ripped out the old furniture and I put in these recliners and the little bar table there, which makes it easier and gives me more room. The kitchen's the perfect size. The convection oven bakes wonderfully, plus it's a microwave. And then I've got 3 burners that are propane. Nice sized fridge. There's my recliner that I pretty much live in. I seen a video the other day that said, if you have a recliner, get rid of it because it's the gateway to the grave. And then I kept some of my favorite figurines from Disney, and I have all my Disney Mickeys from the years gone past, my D23 membership when it became a thing. And then I've got the little dollars that you used to be able to get at Disney and spend there. And this year I've got my little fireplace, and there's one for me, Kimberly, and one for Sadie the dog. And then this is my half bath. So when my guests come over, this bathroom doesn't get used unless my grandkids are with me. But it's just got, a little sink and a toilet. And then I've got another one of my Disney paintings in here that I love. And I'm looking forward to redecorating and making it more homey in here. But like I said, I hardly even open this door unless there's guests here. And my bedroom is all I need. I've got a king-size bed, so plenty of room for Sadie and I. And then I've got a little stack washer and dryer in this cabinet here. I don't use it a lot where I'm at now, but when I'm out on the road, I do. And the bathroom's plenty big. I've got lots of counter space. I've got one of my favorite Disney paintings. It's got a nice big shower. Lots of storage for all my stuff. So, I'm tiny living already. It's got wheels. And, and the walls are as thin as paper. So it's cold in the winter. Oh, there's my Sadie girl. But yeah, so right now I'm in my mom's driveway for the winter. But I'm on the go a lot during the summer. I have a big RV. I've got plenty. It's the size of a tiny home. So I thought I'll just do that and I'll travel. So that's how that came about. But when I had my house, the things that I miss, I don't miss the big house. That was a lot of work. It was in a neighborhood with neighbors and blah, blah, blah. I didn't like any of that. I didn't like how big the house was and how cluttered it would become. I liked the tiny living. I do. I was raised on a boat. I love being in the RV, the small space. But I miss my chickens. I had chickens and they were my pets and I absolutely adored them. I did have goats for a while too. They were They were a lot of work because they're messy, but I do miss my chickens. I miss my pond and waterfall that I could sit by and have my coffee. And I do get the joy of that when I travel to a lake or something. So that's nice. But I miss kind of having just my space. So my dream is definitely to end up in a tiny home. I haven't decided if it's going to be on my own property or if it's going to be in a village. Or the thing is, I haven't found any place in Washington that really has a tiny home village that isn't created for like the homeless or low income or something. That isn't what I want. If I'm going to be in a tiny home village, I want it to be a community of people that are, established and have a life, and it's going to be nice, and it's going to be a nice community to live in, not transient, So that's where I'm headed. But let's go over some of the things that I'm thinking. And anyone that's living that life now, I'm putting this out there so that you can answer my questions and give me feedback on what you think. The main reasons I don't like living in the RV, because of my particular job right now, and I've talked about this in other videos, if I could have a remote job, the RV would be fine. But because my job keeps me stationary where I'm at, the winters suck. It's freaking cold in here. I can put plastic over the windows and blankets on the walls and all that kind of stuff, but I don't want to live like that. I feel homeless when I do all that. And to run the furnace is very expensive. It's cold. It's cold and it's wet and it's damp. The other thing that I don't like is I don't always have full hookups. So my water pump is something that I've had to replace once already. The main thing I don't like is my toilet system. I have 2 toilets that run on a vacuum flush system. If anybody has one, if you know, you know. They're very temperamental. In the 3 years I've lived in the RV, I have had to take apart and rebuild the vacuum flush pump 3 times, and it is no bueno. It is not a fun job. It's a messy, stinky, poopy job, and I don't like doing it. And maybe if I just had a gravity toilet, it would be better, because I don't even mind dumping the tanks. I don't even mind doing all that. I do it once a week. It's all good, whatever. My window's open. The window's cold in here. I'm gonna shut that. I'm sitting here. It's freezing in here while your window's open, you idiot. The window probably got open when I was having a hot flash. Anyway, yeah, the toilet system thing sucks. And I've kind of investigated in switching out to a different system, but it would be uber expensive because of just the way the plumbing and stuff is in this with the 2 toilets and everything. So, I don't know. Anyway, that's the main thing. Oh, and the other thing is this time of year, I'm not on full hookup, so I'm on tank water, which is fine. But then when I go to take a shower, I have 6 gallons of hot water. So got to make that last. But also, I don't want to fill my gray tank too quick. So I take very quick, short showers. I get in, I get wet, I soap up, shave my legs, do whatever I'm going to do, and then I rinse and I'm out. There's no standing there, enjoying the hot water running over me on a cold morning. That's not a thing. And I miss that. So those are the reasons I don't like living in the RV. I think if I was mobile, because during the summer, that stuff doesn't bother, well, the toilet always bothers me, but the hot water and stuff doesn't bother me so much in the summer. So I think if I could be mobile and go snowbird and be someplace warm in the winter and come back here in the summer, the hot shower wouldn't bother me so much. But anyway, during the winter, I get grouchy in the RV, and then I start thinking of other things I would want. So that's where I'm rambling, going down the path of why I think I might want a tiny home. Let me think here. What was I going to talk about? Oh, okay. So I'm very childlike in my visions and idealistic, and like the white picket fence and the fancy stairways and I'm very visual. So when I walk into or see online a tiny home that has the loft with the railing and there's plants and lights and all the things, that gives me joy. That's like, I want to be in that space. So that makes me happy. I already know that small living isn't a problem. So people say, well, that's a tiny place to live in. I'm living tiny now. I was raised on a boat. Tiny is not the problem. The systems are the problem. A tiny home is like the best of both worlds. You have the small space, but you also have, guaranteed electricity, guaranteed water, guaranteed, you're not constantly working systems. Right now I've got 50 amps. If I want to turn on a space heater, I got to make sure something else is turned off. My hot water tank runs on propane or electric, so I can shut that off if I want to run a heater, or I can put it on propane, but then it's costing me money to run the propane. Same with the furnace. If I want to really warm it up in here, I can kick on my furnace, but that's costing me a half a gallon an hour in propane. It's a constant game of flipping breakers and switch, especially during the winter and even during the summer if you're trying to run air conditioning. But and now my generator, for some reason, is filling the RV with fumes. I'm going to try to get under there to see what's going on, because we had a power outage. And although my RV is self-sustained on battery for almost a full day, I wanted to run the generator so that I could run a little bit more stuff, while the power was out there. And the cab just filled with fumes. And I chat GPT'd it, and they says, well, maybe a critter crawled in the pipe. But the problem is, where I'm parked right now, there's a huge puddle right where I would have to get under the rig to look to see what's going on under there. So that's going to wait. Because I don't want to move the whole rig. I got the lights and the tree and everything, and we're not. Where was I? God, I ramble. I was back to the emotional aesthetic. I'm drawn to the cute, warm, cozy, small space. And so I have in my mind the picture tiny home. It's not the traditional, like the tumbleweeds that are a little smaller, although I love all the wood and the way they're built. They're a little too small. The park model is where I'm thinking. And there's different quality levels of that too. And so I'm investigating and figuring that out. But a park model with a loft, I'm thinking I will sleep upstairs until I am too old to climb the stairs, but I can use the main bedroom on the main floor as my craft room. That's where all my clothes will be. I'll get dressed and stuff off that because that's off the bathroom. But I want a tub. And very few park models come with a tub. So when I really get serious about this, we're going to have to see if we can make a change on that when they build it. Anyway, I love that tiny cozy space makes me happy. And even my little RV makes me happy when I'm in here. And it's my cozy little space because I'm alone a lot. And that's just perfect for me. But I'm thinking I will always have a dog of some kind. Sadie, my Dane, she's on her last year probably. She's having a harder time. She's getting a little incontinent. I have to lift her into the car now, which she's 170 pounds, people. I put her front legs in and then her back legs in. We go for a walk and then I lift her back. Yeah, it's a lot. But she sleeps most of the day now. She's a Great Dane. She's 9 years old. But she's still my baby. But I think when she's gone, I'll probably get another dog of some kind. I'll go smaller next time, though, because I want something I can take to work with me. My salon where I work is dog friendly. And if I had a little dog that would stay, in a little kennel or something right next to me, they'd be fine with it. So I think that's what I'm going to do, is something small like that. That's a little lap cuddler, that still wants to go on walks, because I love taking dogs on walks because they're so much fun to watch. Anyway, so I'm thinking if I had a little piece of property, or I'd have a yard for the dog, because living in the RV, there is no yard. My dog is very reactive to other dogs, so dog parks are out of the question and that kind of thing. So it'd be nice to have a little yard. Not one that I would have to keep up necessarily, like nature yard. I don't like yard work. Another thing is, although I'm planning on customizing this RV a little bit more. If you've noticed, I painted one wall orange because when I first moved in, I was gonna go with like a boho, like jewel toned kind of aesthetic with the bright kind of pinkish magentas and the jewel blues and I'll put a picture on the screen here when I'm editing about kind of what I had in mind. And then I remembered my old camping trailer, and I'll put some pictures of that, where I had the lavenders and the softness, and it was so cozy. And I think I'm going to go that way now. So this orange wall is going to get changed. But I've been nervous about customizing my RV too much in case I want to sell it. But I've already ripped out all the furniture and everything. So I'm never going to, who am I kidding? I'm not going to sell it. I love my RV. Even if I got a tiny home, I'm still going to want to travel and go camping and do that kind of thing. So maybe this spring I'll just start painting and doing some stuff. My last house, the house I owned, the outside was an eggplant purple with white trim. It was beautiful. And it had all the little white, just the white pops. And then on the inside, I had white wainscoting up half the wall, and then like an eggplant purple on the upper wall. And then I had all my beautiful gold framed, paintings and things. Oh, it was, I'll see if I can find some pictures and I'll post them on here too. It was beautiful. And then like the bathrooms were lavender. The whole house was some shade of purple. The kitchen had purple, kind of dusty purple cabinets. And the place made me happy. And so something about the purples makes me happy. I like the jewel tone idea that I was originally going with because I thought that's fun. It's lively, but then I don't think it's going to give me that cozy that I want. I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. Let me know what you think. But I think it would be nice to have a place that's all mine. I mean, yes, the RV is all mine, but like right now I'm in a family member's driveway for the winter. And I have to, I'm conscious about the space I'm taking and the electricity I might be using and my dog. And, it's not my space. Even though inside the RV is my space, around me is not my space. And so I'm very conscious about what I'm doing and what I'm leaving laying out, and is the hose put away and all that kind of stuff. I just want my own space again. And so I think having a tiny home on my own little piece of property would make me happy. And I'd have my chickens again. I would love to have chickens again. And warmer. I keep going back. I know I'm just rambling, but right now my feet are cold. I'm just sitting here. My feet are cold. So there's that. But I'm going over the cons here. Land cost. That's huge. I will inherit a little tiny bit of money when my mom passes, and that could be forever for now. I mean, she is healthy as an ox, so I'm not wishing any bad on her. But all of this is not going to happen for a few years. But by then, what's a piece of land going to cost me? Will I even be able to afford to purchase a tiny home and land and set up utilities? I don't think so. So unless I just come across a squeal of a deal on a piece of property, because I think if I'm going to buy land, I want it to be here. I want it to be near my family. If that's going to be my semi-permanent residence, I want it to be near my family. And it's expensive here. Washington State is no joke. If you go to the eastern side, across the hill, as we say, it's cheaper, but I might as well live in another state. That's a 4-hour drive from my family, so, yeah. I'm keeping my eyes open, but again, it's so far in the future that it's kind of irrelevant right now to what prices are, on property, but they're going up constantly, and I don't think they're going to come down. So then I think, well, maybe I can find a trailer park or a mobile home park that accepts a tiny home, but has a decent size space so that I can have kind of my own little space there, and just pay lot rent. That might be an idea too. And that's where I came back to maybe a tiny home village. And I'm hoping by the time I'm ready to do this, that there will be those options around. There aren't a lot of tiny home villages in Western Washington that I'm aware of yet. I've been searching. I can't find any. Every time I look up tiny home community, tiny home village, all I find are tiny home sellers. I don't find the actual villages or things. Now, I do have a friend that also kind of wants to do the same thing, and she's kind of in line to inherit a piece of property that's local. Again, several years from now, nobody's in a hurry, but if that happened, her and I had talked about maybe, setting up camp together, and I would just pay lot rent to her. That would be her property, and I'd pay lot rent to her. So there's options, and I'm thinking there, but yeah. What I guess what this video is about is if any of you are out there in a tiny home, what are the downfalls? I mean, it can't be any worse than what I've got going on now. I love my tiny space. So to say, well, it's small, that's not a downfall for me. That's a good thing. The fact that I will have a washer and dryer, I will have hot water, I will have electricity without, breakers blowing, I will have somewhat of a yard and a stationary space, and I'll be warm in the winter. Those all outweigh the small space. So if there is something negative, let me know. I've never been a gardener, but I think as I get older, I might. Oh, here's the other thing. Okay, this is the big thing of me wanting kind of a semi-permanent home on my own space. I want to have a workshop. I am an artiste. In the RV, You can look over here. See this little table over here that sits between, okay, you can see the two vases there I've been painting and all my paints and all my crap over there. That's my workshop. And I would like to get into doing bigger projects, but I just don't have the space in here for the supplies or to work. And I would like to have, even if it's a small little shed where I can go in and like I said, if I had a tiny home, the main bedroom would be my craft room, because that is something that I want to do in retirement. I want to sell my art, I want to find a niche, and just because it gives me such joy to do it. I'm hoping this video I'll make sure I post after Christmas, because those two vases are gifts for my daughters. And I've been working on them. Hours and hours have gone into them, so I hope they like them. But I'll post after Christmas so they won't see it. But yeah, I want a workshop where I can maybe do some furniture flipping, or a little larger projects where I'm not limited to a table that's only 24 by 30. So that probably really brings it down. Between the chickens and the artistic freedom, having a space of my own has a lot to do with that. My family member here, I live in her driveway. It's my mom. My mom's driveway here, she has a garage, but I'm not going to go in there and mess up. Like I said, I'm very conscious of what I do. I do have my motorcycle in her garage, and I do have some tools and stuff in there, but I try to keep everything very contained. I don't go in there and make a big mess. When I was laying carpet and things in here last spring, I used her garage long enough to cut the carpet, and then I cleaned up my mess and put it, but when if you're a crafter or an artist, you leave things out because you'll work on it for a little bit and then you come back to it. Like those vases sat there for a couple of months. I worked on them because I would work on it because I have a job, I have other things. I would work on them when I had the mindset to just slow down and work on them. And so they sat there. So I want a space where I can come back to it without having to drag everything out. Because I find that if I put everything away and I have to drag it all back out again, the chances of me dragging it back out again, I don't do it. I'm like, I'll do it another time. Too lazy. But if it's right in front of me and I can just sit down and start working, then I'm so happy that I did. Anyway, yeah, I'd like to hear people that are actually doing it. I'd love to hear your pros and cons of the tiny home living. Now, when I see on YouTube, it's all, yeah, it's perfect, but is it? I heard that about RV living too. And I knew better because I'd lived on a boat. So I knew about the systems and how they're constantly breaking down. And I'm always fixing something on this. Right now, I've got an outlet in my main bathroom, which is the one I use to curl my hair and all that kind of stuff. And that outlet, when I plugged something into it, started sizzling the other day. I'm like, that's not good. I can't burn down my home. So I immediately unplugged something. I went online, I ordered a new outlet, and now I have that project this weekend that I have to do. Weekend before, I was rebuilding that damn vacuum flush pump. It's always something. So that is the part of RV life that is draining on me. It's like, it's not if something's going to break, it's like when. It's going to happen. Something's going to break, something's going to need fixing, something's going to need replacing. And when you're on the road more, it even happens more, because when this home goes down the road, it's like an earthquake's happening. The whole thing's shaking. You hit a bump, everything's breaking, so it's rough. So I want to have a backup plan as I get older. And right now I'm 57. I'll be 58 in March. And so I'm thinking by the time I'm 60 something, 62 at the latest, when I'm ready to start getting some Social Security. I want to have a solid foundation under my feet, more of a home that's not constantly breaking. But I'll always have the RV, I think, as long as I can drive it. So anyway, this was really a rambler. I'm sorry, but I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope maybe it made you think, if you're thinking about doing any of these things, what the pros and cons might be. RV life is fun if you can travel and have fun, but to just sit stationary and live in it in the winter, it sucks. I'm not going to lie to you. It sucks to just sit here in the rain and the cold. And, during the summer, I absolutely love it. I'm up at the campground. I'm meeting people. I'm having fun. I'm outside. Things still break and I still have to fix them, so that part sucks. But during the winter, RV life sucks. So if anyone's telling you, oh yeah, you can do this, you can do that, it sucks, okay? I know this is probably going to be posted after the holidays. I hope you had a wonderful one. I hope you were able to enjoy family if you still have some. If not, I hope you're making new family and enjoying time with them. And